Well, I'm back for another crank no start troubleshooting. And actually now at this point, the car fired up. In my last video, I got it to briefly fire for about 5 to 10 seconds, which leads me to believe I have a compression issue. I'm pretty sure the rings are stuck. The car's been sitting. I did have some either a crank sensor issue or a DME issue. I think I was getting fuel but no spark at one point, so I washed the cylinders. So to get it to start last time, I put about 5 milliliters of oil in each cylinder. Today I'm going to add a little more than that and try and get those rings freed up and then try and crank it over again and see if it can run and stay running. So let's see what happens. I've done this so many times now that I think I can get these plugs and coil packs and everything off and apart in probably like 2 minutes. I've got everything back together. I've got the plugs in, I've got oil in the cylinders, coil packs are back on and plugged in, fuel pump fuse is back in. So I'm gonna try and start it again. And one of the issues I experienced when I did finally get it to start up for that little bit was the intake boot wasn't even on the throttle body at the time. So we've got that on now. All the sensors are plugged in, so let's see if it starts. Well, it started and I got it to run there for a little while, but as soon as I let it shut off, it died off again. I think that's just it. I think the rings are stuck. There's smoking out the block here. Tons of smoke in the exhaust, obviously, from the oil I dumped in, and water and whatever else has been in the exhaust for the last 5-6 years. But it started up. So now that I know it runs, I think my goal will be I want to pull the engine out. That wasn't originally my plan, but I want to go over everything. The slave cylinder's dead. I have no idea what this clutch looks like, but I just want to pull everything out. Another thing I had an issue with was one of the water pump studs was broke. So if I remember correctly, I like epoxied one in place, and I want to fix that the right way. Either extract the broken stud that's left in there and put a new one in, or just replace the cover. But there's that to take care of. And like I said, I want to pull it out and go over everything. I've messed with so much of the wiring harness that I want to get that kind of everything back where it's supposed to be, make sure everything's right, and just button everything up correctly. So that'll be my next move, pulling this engine and trans out. Really, there's not much left to do. All the coolant hoses, except maybe the heater hoses, are disconnected already. Obviously, there's no radiator in the car. There's no diff in the car. So really it's just going to be disconnecting the exhaust, which I'll leave the manifolds on the engine and just disconnect the rest of the exhaust there. And then trans mount, drive shaft can probably even stay on, just have to undo it from the center of the car and just unbolt the slave cylinder. So it should be pretty easy to get this thing pulled out of here. I'll do that one evening coming up and then kind of dive into going over the engine. And like I said, I need to get those rings freed up a little more, but I think I'm on the right path here. Another thing that occurred, once the car did fire up and run, the check engine light was on, which is, in this instance, actually something I want to see because it kind of points me in what could be going on. I did the stomp code test and it's giving me 1215 as the code, which points to the MAF. Now, could be because there's no air box here. It's essentially getting too much air, but I'm not sure. I might try another one that I have laying around, swap that on and go from there. But like I said, it's nice to see that I'm actually getting codes now. Before with all this, I wasn't getting anything. So maybe another headache I have to fight, but a step in the right direction.